Today and tomorrow Salesforce development. Today development day 40. So let's see what are we going to learn in this class. So today's agenda is we'll quickly go through the previous session of the Visualforce and we'll talk about the requirement. We'll do one requirement in the class and then we'll talk about the Visualforce used in and Visualforce in button, how to use the Visualforce in button, how to use the link using by including the Visualforce as a link, how can we include it? Visualforce in the page layout, Visualforce as an action, and then we will see Visualforce object manager. And after that, we will start Apex from today. So Apex, we will see what is the Apex and what are the features of the Apex and how does Apex works and what are the advantages of Apex and what are the disadvantages of Apex. And then we'll conclusion, quiz, homework, and today's interview question. Okay, so quickly, what did we learn in last class?
Select list, select
options, select radio button, select checkboxes.
New attributes.
Select list.
Select radio button. Select radio.
Select radio.
Select checkbox.
Select checkbox.
Select option.
Select options. Options.
Iframe.
Iframe.
View state.
We have seen the view state, how to enable the view state.
Yes.
And then we have seen the Visualforce
Used in.
Used in tab. So we have created the tab. So these are the one which we have seen in the last class. Today, let's go ahead and start our session. So let's start with the requirement. So subject of the requirement is a create a new Visualforce page. So description is a create a new Visualforce page to save account, to create a new account. So I need a Visualforce page which will show the page. By clicking on the save button, I should be able to create a account. So fields are account name, rating, phone, industry. So these are the 4 fields that needs to be displayed. So basically I need so the requirement is this is the page, new page, and here we'll be having a section. Assume that this is a new account, and then here we'll show account name, rating, industry, phone number. You can include more fields also, that's fine. And then finally we'll have a save button. There will be a save button. So as clicking on this save button, I should be able to create the new record, new account record. So this is the requirement. Rating is a pick list, industry is a pick list, phone number. Yes, create this. So you have a 5 minutes time to create it. Okay. So what is the requirement here? What is the requirement? Create a Visualforce page to create new account. To create new account. So it is similar like new account. Whenever we click on that button, there should be a new account should be created. And what is the low level requirement? On the page, basically need a page. The requirement says that new account should be created. New account should be created. So in order to create a new record, what all information I need to display the 4 fields. Name, rating, industry, and then phone number. These are the fields I need to display, and one button, save button. Now, for these 4 fields, okay. Now here, if I have to create a new account, that means I need to use standard controller. Standard controller. I need to use standard controller equal to account. That means because the requirement is to create a new record on account. Now the fields needs to be displayed. These are the fields needs to be displayed. In order to display the field, I need to use for all of them, I need to use tag called apex colon input field. I need to use tag called apex colon input field for the phone, as well as for industry, as well as for rating. And for the name also, I need to use apex colon input field. So 4 fields. And then they are talking about the save button. So buttons, we can display it using the apex colon
Command
command
button.
button. Now that's it. So these are the commands I needed, and the action to save. This next one is I need a automatic save should be happen. So that is action. So action will be within the save button. So action equal to I have a default Salesforce is providing curly braces exclamation save. Right? So it is giving, they have a save button. Salesforce is providing this. As soon as I click on this button, this action will perform to save automatically, saving the record in Salesforce database. Now this is what the requirement. Now here I need a the
Then
title.
here, why not input text? Why input field? I'm having doubt.
What is the input text?
It will just display a text box.
Then what do we need here? We need to capture the data from user. Does
Yes.
that input text will qualify that?
Like in for a value attribute, account dot phone exclamation account dot phone.
Okay. Apex colon input text. There is a doubt here. Okay, whether it should be used this one or this one. Let's see. Now that is the one, and next we have a title. That means this everything should be in the Apex page block section. Now let's go ahead and implement. Let's go to the developer console, click on new Visualforce page. VF underscore create new account. Click on save. Fine. Apex colon page block. And then I'm going to use apex colon
Page block section.
page block section, and then I'll add the title.
Title equal to view account. Standard controller.
Standard controller equal to
Account. Apex form also we need to use.
Apex form in Apex page down.
Because we are using button.
yes. Because we are also expecting the user input. That's the reason we have to use the apex form. Now, somebody suggested the input text. So let's go ahead and use the first one, input text. What are the fields that I need here?
Label value.
Okay, so account dot name. Let's say, click on preview. Okay, so we have a text is displaying here. Now what I'll do is I'll add few more information here. Name, rating, home,
Phone.
industry.
Column equals to 2.
Okay, and then we have a apex colon command button.
Command button. Action. Action equal to
Equal
save.
to save.
Curly exclamatory save. Value
View
save.
equal to-
Save.
Perfect, our code is done.
No, rating and industry are select list, right?
Pick list, yes.
Select list.
Select list we have to use.
Okay, so for now, let's comment out this. Anyway, this is not important right now. So rating and industry also I'll comment out. Let's click on refresh. Let's give some account name. Industry 1 and then phone number. Click on save. Okay, so this is fine. It is creating the record. Now, for example, if I have to use a rating, how can I use the rating? Right now, these fields are input text, that is fine. But if I wanted to use the rating, how can I use it?
Radio button.
Item value we can take, right?
Sorry,
Item value.
item value.
No, we have to implement within the list. From there, we have to take the item value, right?
But this is a standard field. Why do we need item?
Right now, this is a standard field.
This is a standard field and it is already there. The pick list, all the information is already available in the, already it is available. So how do I need to collect those?
Ma'am, can we take output field?
Output field. Output field, does it allow the user to enter the information or does it display only the read-only mode?
It just displayed.
Also display.
It just displayed. But what we need is, we need a field to be where the user should be entering the data. When I click on this preview, okay. So when I click on this preview, user should be able to enter. Now, if I use a input text for the rating, so it is going to display the text. Now, how can I display the pick list?
Select list.
Select list. When do we use the select list?
If we have a multiple options, if you want to implement any multiple options, then we will select list.
Text area. Ma'am.
Okay, how about if I use the input field? Right? It's automatically displaying it. When I use the select list is either there is a custom field which I have implemented it in the Visualforce page, and that custom field need a custom pick list values. Okay, in that case, we use the select list. Or else, in another scenario, I have a records here. I have around 32 records or 14 records are there in the account. Right, so these all records, 26 records are there. I wanted to display these records as a pick list. Then I can use a select list. But where I already have a values already there, and the Salesforce itself is created as a pick list. Salesforce data type itself is a pick list, and it is already have the information. So instead of spending on the select list and the item value, everything, can I use the input field?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if I use a text, what will happen? It displays only the text.
Text box.
It doesn't display the values that are there. Though the data type is pick list in the Salesforce, but when I'm implementing using the input text, I see the field here, which is the input text, right? If I give something else here, right, it is not going to work. I mean, maybe it is going to accept it, but here the values are, I wanted to choose it from the values that are there inside the rating. I don't want to enter any random text in the rating. So in those scenarios, we have to use the
Also,
input field.
yeah, one more thing, Swapna. Like if you use input text, then it will not take the required fields. You know, it doesn't display that this field is required. So if you put in full field, it will say account name is a required field.
We can make it with the required attribute, right?
Yeah, but that's an additional work, no? If you put out input field, then all the things come, you know, just like that. You don't have to worry about anything.
So basically, input field is required text. You are saying that?
No. I'm saying that the input field means what? It will take whatever that object contains field, it will take. Okay. And then certain fields are marked as required, right? So when you say input field, it takes that, what is that? That property by itself. If it is not mandatory, it will not come as mandatory. You can try it.
And basically it was when we are taking input field, those are Salesforce standard things, right? It will follow all the Salesforce standard fields.
Yes, when we take a Apex input field, what happens is it exactly display the how the Salesforce is there, along with whatever the by default Salesforce feature is there, right? When we click on a new account here, okay? When we click on a new account, whatever the styling and event required, everything will be applied. Exactly, it will display the same whatever the Salesforce is displaying. If I use the input field, exactly it will be applied. Now, if I take an input text, that means we have to put some kind of a styling onto that, or need to put additional effort on that. Okay, it's up to the requirement. If the client says that, no, I do not want rating should be displayed with the pick list values, I need a rating as a text field. If client says that, go ahead and use the input text. There is no point of having here. Because we are implementing the Visualforce page, because I have a requirement from the client. If client says that we do not want to display the pick list as it's showing in the Salesforce, I do not want to display the pick list field. I just wanted to display as a text. Then better go with the text field. Okay, so let's save this.
Yeah, if you have if we have implemented using input text, so here the rating only have 3 options: hot, warm, like hot or cold, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it will take other values also. You can like put any value there, and it will accept, right?
There is an option in the field level, okay, that we will go on, but there is an option whether the other value should be accepted or not. Okay, that kind of a configuration will be there on the field level.
Okay. If that is checked, like if it is
so right
restricted,
now
then
it is a hot, warm, cold. For example, it is displaying the text. Now I wanted to enter the rating as instead of a hot, cold, warm. I just wanted to enter the rating 4. Whether this field should be allowed or not, value should be allowed here or not, that is the field level configuration we have. If the field level configuration says that yes, allow, then it is going to allow.
and if it is not, if it is saying that it is not allowed, then will it show invalid or like
Yes.
or the record will get saved?
It will either when you are clicking on the save button, you might see error here, or you might see error in the database level. You might not be able to see at the Visualforce page level, but while saving in the account, there will be an error. So what will happen is sometimes you see that when you click on a save button, everything works perfectly fine. But when you go to the Salesforce, you will not see the record. That means from the point of the save button till it gets into the database, in between that, there is an error occurred. Where that error occurred will be sits into the database side. You will not be seeing the error into the user interface, which is usually happens with the integration. So in integration, sometimes what happens is instead of the pick list values, they will be sending some third party will be sending some additional values. Okay, if my field says that do not accept anything apart from this, if my field configuration says that do not accept any field out of this, in that case, what will happen? The API integration, whatever they are sending the data, for them it is successfully processed. But for us, we will not see any data here. So finally, what happened? We have to debug it, find out where is exactly the issue is happening. Because when we discussed with the third party system, they said that we are sending it, we are not receiving any errors in our system. Everything processing perfectly. There is an issue in your side, but our side we cannot see where is the issue is there. I cannot see the account here. So in that case, what we have to do is we have to put a debug. We have to identify where it is breaking it, because in between it is breaking. In between it is breaking. So this is the user interface. I have a database here. Okay, in between this, as soon as I click on this, there is a data gets passed into the database, right? In between I have a database. So before it pointing to the user interface, before it saves the records into the interface, what happens is in between there is a issue will happen. Either we will not find it here or we will not find it here. It will be in between the UI and the whatever the database we have. In between that, it will be breaking somewhere. So whenever we see the field level securities, field level configuration, that time we will discuss. Okay, so for now, let's go ahead and use the input field. So account, I'll say industry 2, and then rating, I'll use the warm, And then phone number, let's add some phone number. Industry, let's click on agriculture and click on save. Now automatically the records get saved, right? So similarly, we also have a delete option. For delete also, we have an option called delete action. For command button, similar like a save button, we have a delete. So you can use the delete option also. So for the delete option, what you need to pass the ID. You need to pass the ID on the Visualforce page. Whenever you are viewing the Visualforce page, that time you need to pass here the ID. Whenever you pass the ID, then it will display the information. As soon as you click on delete button, it will be automatically deleted. Fine. This is the requirement. Any questions on the requirement?
Swapna, it doesn't require any SOQL type of thing. I mean, like,
Because
it is directly saving.
yes,
If we forgot any required fields, no, that should throw any error, right?
yes. The reason here why it is not showing the required field is we have used the input text. Now, for example, account name is a mandatory. Okay. Now I'll enter some phone number and warm and click on save. What will happen here? It's not even showing me the error. The reason is we have used this text. If I use this input field here instead of a text,
Yes.
in that case, what will happen? It is going to alert me that this is a mandatory field. If I use a text, it is not even going to show me what is the error. It will not show me any information. Even the message also I will not show. But for example, if I have not entered right now, warm, industry, agriculture, click on save, but at least it will give here some information. So that's the reason in real time, we mostly use the input field. And if there is any requirement from the client that they need it by intentionally, go ahead and use it input text. And why we do not need a SOQL queries here? Why do not need? Because by default, Salesforce is providing a certain action here. So behind this save, we are just writing a save one word. Behind this, there is 100 lines of logic which is written by the Salesforce. So that's the reason without any kind of a logic in the Apex side, SOQL, nothing is required. We can just use the standard action called save, standard action called delete. If we use this, then what will happen? We can able to delete it. We can able to delete it.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
What is these placeback buttons and command buttons? What is the difference here? We should. It is not mandatory to use placeback buttons for command button. Directly, we can use command button here.
Yeah. What is? Can you repeat that? Your question? Command button. Other one?
Page block buttons.
Oh, page block buttons. Okay. So page block buttons is this we have already discussed. Page block buttons is a collection of buttons that sits inside the and what are the attributes I'll be having here? The attributes are what are that? We have discussed this. What are the attributes here?
Location only.
It will decide where the button should be displayed. This is basically page block button is decides the layout. How you want the buttons which are sitting inside the page block buttons, how do you want it to display it? How do you want to display these buttons? Whether you wanted to display on top or whether you wanted to display in bottom, or you will be able to decide it. If I say bottom, then it is going to display these buttons at the bottom. Okay, this buttons is Basically, this is a collection of buttons. All the command buttons, we can place it inside the page block buttons. Page block button just decides how you wanted to display these buttons inside the Visualforce page.
Okay, but command button, we can't define the location. It defaultly come in the left side.
Command buttons are to perform an action.
Okay, if we want to define the location, we need to use the page block buttons then.
Yes, page block buttons.
And one more thing, this self-closed tags and the open tags and closed tags. Can we write this open and close tags as a self-closed tags?
Yes, you can write it. Because there is nothing is there inside this. Instead of that, you can just use the cell.
Okay. So every tag we can write like that if that nothing is defined in between those two tags, open and close.
Yes, you can write it. If you do not have any logic written within this, you can just go ahead and use the self tag.
Okay.
Ma'am, so basically, if we use apex colon detail, like when we are talking about a particular account with for a particular record, account record, then we need to use a apex colon detail. If not, we can use this apex colon input field, right?
Yeah, apex colon detail is basically if you wanted to display the detail section. Detail,
Yes.
what do we say? This is the detail section. Okay, so
Like
if
for a
you want-
particular record, if you are talking about a
Yes.
particular record, we will use apex colon detail.
Yes.
Okay.
There is something wrong here. What is the wrong? Must be the direct parent of.
Page block button, there exists some parent.
The page block button should be outside the section.
Let's take out this. Fine. Okay, any other questions before we move on?
Ma'am, how can delete a record? How can we
Delete
take it?
also it will work if you use here instead of a save button, just go ahead and use the delete.
But how can take a record ID in delete?
ID you need to pass it in the URL. So let's take here delete. Now let's refresh.
To delete a record, first we need to save, then we need to use that delete option, right?
So why it is not showing here delete button? Although I have added here delete, why it is not showing the delete button? It is showing only the save button. It is showing only the save button. What is the reason?
You have to provide ID.
Yes, because delete will by default, it will not show. But as soon as you provide the ID, then the delete button will be enabled. If you have some data that you are displaying it, and if you want, in order to display the delete option, you just need to provide the details. If you do not provide these details, you will not see the delete option at all.
Okay.
You will not see delete. So if I remove this and click on this, I will not be able to see the delete. So I need to provide the data. I need to provide the record information. If I provide the record information, then only I should be able to delete it. If I click on delete, what will happen? Now I cannot see that industry one. Right now here it is industry one. If I refresh, the data is deleted. Right? So it is already deleted. You cannot see it is giving that you have a problem because the ID does not exist. This ID is deleted. Just now we have deleted the account. So for delete also we can use the same action. That is a by default Salesforce is provided the delete.
Thank you.
Okay, so before I move on, any other questions on that? I'm repeating these requirements because so that you will not forget the tags and everything. Okay. So let's move on. So we will be seeing the Visualforce used in tab, button, link, page layout, action, object manager. So we will see how to use the Visualforce in tab. We have already seen. Today we are going to see how to use the Visualforce in button, link, page layout, action, object manager. So button, when you go to the setup object manager, there is a click on any object. For example, take a account object. When you click on the account object, here you will see option called button, links, and action. When you click on this button, link, action, you can create a new button. So there will be an option called creating a new button. Now, buttons are, in order to place the Visualforce page, either you can create a new button and give the Visualforce page reference, or else you can update the existing button. When I say existing button, right now, if you go to the account, so what will happen here when I go to the account, if I click on a new button, so it is displaying the Salesforce functionality here. Now I do not want the Salesforce functional to be displayed here because I don't want to fill all this information. I just need an account name, rating, and some information, maximum 4 fields I need it, and click on save. What are the mandatory data is there? I just wanted to fill that mandatory data and save it. So I don't want the Salesforce default structure. That means I wanted to override this button. I wanted to override. That means I can update the existing button where when I click on the new button, my Visualforce page should be open. Instead of the Salesforce standard page, I want the Visualforce page to be open. And create a new button in case if you wanted to create a completely new button, and in that new button, we can apply the Visualforce page. So buttons will be 2 types. One is you can create a new button. Second one is updating the existing button. For creating a new button, first we will see updating the standard button. Let's take an example of new. So if I take the example of new, so if I click on the new button, now when you go to the, let's go to the Salesforce object manager, let's take an account. So here in the account, we have an option called button, links, and action. Now I need to find out the standard, what are the standard page, on the standard page, what are the button is there, that is the button, right? So here, if I click on edit, when I click on the edit button, so it is going to ask me if you wanted to override the standard Salesforce one. If I say no override, that means I wanted to use the Salesforce standard new functionality. In case if I say that, no, I wanted to use my own Visualforce page. I wanted to use my own Visualforce page. So I can give my own Visualforce page, create new account. Now let's click on save. If you want to add any comments, you can add the comments. So for example, overriding standard Salesforce functionality with Visualforce page. And then click on save. Now here, if you observe, it is showing me only 4 Visualforce pages. It is showing only 4 Visualforce pages. But so far we have created at least 10 pages, at least more than 10 pages we have created. If I go to the open resource and if I see star.vfp, right? So I can see that more than 10 Visualforce pages I have. And when I see here, when I go to the account level Visualforce page, it is displaying only 4 Visualforce page. What is the reason why it is displaying only the 4 Visualforce pages?
Actually, they contains that save button. That's
Tender
No.
controller.
It contains the button
Control.
component.
No button, because in Charter, I do not have any button. There is no save button in Charter.
Maybe the standard controller is account.
Standard controller is account. As soon as I use this standard controller is account, that by looking at this, it is going to display, because first it will check. If I click on, as soon as I click on this Visualforce page, the first thing what Salesforce does is Salesforce filter out all the Visualforce pages. It will filter out all the Visualforce pages. As soon as I click on this radio button, the logic gets executed by the Salesforce. Which object are they clicking on this Visualforce page button? So first it will look at account. Okay, give me all the Visualforce pages wherever the standard controller equal to account is there, only show those Visualforce pages here. Now, for example, if I remove standard controller equal to account on the charter, VF_charter, right before it was showing me the charter. Now I'll click, I have removed the standard controller. What? Okay, account ID. Let me give some ID, hard-coded ID there. Okay, so now charter is, I have removed the standard controller equal to account. Before it was showing the VF_charter. Now I'll refresh. So I am clicking on the Visualforce page. Now it is not showing. Now it is not showing. So basically the standard controller, what are the standard controller is there? This has to match with the object. If I use contact here, if I use contact, so contact is not matching with account. Now I'll click on save. This is implemented, this Visualforce page is for standard controller equal to contact. Now, if I refresh this, again, I'm refreshing. Right now, I'm into the account object. Right now, I'm into the account object. Now, when I click on this Visualforce page, right, it is not showing because whatever the standard controller object is there, it is not matching with the object which is showing here. If I go to the contact and if I click on a new, that time it will show this particular Visualforce page, VF_charter. Clear? So right now I'm going to use this Visualforce page. If you want to add a comments, you can add it. And then go ahead and click on save button. Click on save button. So we are updating the standard button called new, and we clicked on the Visualforce page, and then we have selected the existing Visualforce page that is matching with that particular object. Whatever the object we are clicking on the new button, that object has to be matched with standard controller equal to the same object. Then only it is going to show me the Visualforce. Now the page has been updated. Now the new button functionality has been updated. I'll click on a new button. When I click on a new button, let's refresh. Okay, so when I click on the new button, now it is going to take me to our custom Visualforce page, right? Our custom Visualforce page. VF_create new account. This is what we have created. Create account. This is what the Visualforce page we have created. So it took me to the Visualforce page. Now I can create industry 3, rating hot and industry banking. Let's click on save. And as soon as I click on save button, it will be redirected to the page, the new record, whatever the new record has been created, it will redirect it to the same page, right? It is created the industry 3. Industry 3. Now, whatever we have deleted the industry 1, is it permanently deleted? We have created the industry 1, 2, 3, right? So whatever we have deleted the industry 1, where is the industry 1 right now? We cannot see the industry 1 here. It is deleted, right? So where can I see that deleted information?
Recycle bin.
Recycle bin.
Recycle bin.
Recycle bin.
Yes. So we have an option called recycle bin. So if you go to the recycle bin, you will be able to see the records that are deleted recently, either by you. My recycle bin is nothing but deleted by you. Org recycle bin is nothing but anybody in the org deleted the record, right? So yesterday, this person, we were playing with this person, this user. So whatever the user has deleted in this org, everybody's data, it will give. In case if you want, you are interested only the one which I have deleted, I just wanted to see mine only, just click on my recycle bin. Now here is the industry 1, right? If you wanted to recollect the information, you can check that and you can restore it. Otherwise, you can delete it or you can click on empty. Now this is restored. Industry 1 is restored. Now if I go here, account, if I see industry 1 is available, 1, 2, 3 is available. Now moving back to this slide. Now the next one is creating the button. To create a button, so what we have to do is, as soon as we click on that button, link action, it will show new action, new button or link. Select the new button or a link. As soon as you select the new button or a link, there is a new, it will be redirected to the new button or a link. Here the mandatory fields are, the first thing you have to give a label name. What is the name of the button? What is the name of the button? And this is the API. Label is what is the name of button? Name is nothing but API name. Button API name. And you can give a description. And here display type. Display types are 3 types. Page link, page button, list button. Right? Right now we are looking at the button. So our focus is detail page button. Detail page button. When I select this radio option, it will give you behavior. There are different behaviors. What is this behavior? Basically, when you click on that button, do you want the window to be open in the same window that whenever you click on that button, the model gets open, right? The new window gets open. Do you want to open the same window within the same window, or do you want it to redirect it to the new window? And content source, here there will be 2 options. One is a JavaScript and then second one is a Visualforce. Right now we are talking about the Visualforce page. So content source is selected as a Visualforce page. Now let's go ahead and see. Now we are going to create a new button. So click on account, button, link and actions. And then we will see here 2 buttons, new action, new button or link. Click on this new button or a link. So when you click on a new button or a link, it will show the page where it will ask you to enter the new button name. Okay, so this is the new button name. So I'll say that custom new button. And this is API name. Now description, you can add a description. What is this button is doing it? So creating new account by clicking on save button on page. Now here it will give you 3 options. Our focus is right now detail page button. Now what is this view example? If you click on this view example, it will give you some kind of a hint how your data gets displayed. If you add, like if you add a new page button, if you add new page button, the button, how it will display when you go to the classic, this is a classic view. So right, because these buttons are Visualforce pages are for the classic. So right now it is showing me the classic. So basically it will display here, whatever the button is there, it will display on the top. So this is just a hint how it displays on the page level. Now the second one is behavior. Behavior, there are different type of behavior. If you want a new window to be open, new window means how? What is the behavior exactly new window means? That means you have a page here, and when you click on this, new window is nothing but there is another window gets open. If you want, whenever you click on that button, your existing page should be shown with the new data. So that means existing window with sidebar. So it will be override the existing one. And if you say display in existing window without sidebar, I don't want the sidebar, then select this display in existing window without sidebar. Now without sidebar as well as the header, I do not want the sidebar header, then select this option display in executing window without sidebar or header. And the next one is execute JavaScript. This execute JavaScript is, this option executes your on-click JavaScript code when user clicks on your button. Okay, so this is for the JavaScript. Do not use it for the Visualforce. Okay, so when you click on the JavaScript code, when you click on the button, if you want to execute some JavaScript code, in that case, we use execute JavaScript. Now from here, you can select it, whichever the option you want. So let's take it the display new button. Now here, content source. There are options, either you can give a URL or you can give a JavaScript, you can give a Visualforce page. URL is nothing but, for example, you wanted to redirect to some other page by clicking on that button. So you have to build a URL here. You have to build a URL here. Okay, right now we are seeing the Visualforce page. So let's go ahead and select the Visualforce page. Whenever I select the Visualforce page, the bottom section, whatever you are able to see for the URL, select a field type or these functions. Whenever you click on JavaScript also, you will be seeing these options. But Visualforce page, it doesn't need to, you need not to select the fields. Directly, it will ask you to enter the Visualforce page. Here, the content also depending on the standard controller. What are the standard controller object is there? If that is the matching with this object, only those Visualforce will be displayed here. Now, in case if you need any help, this is the, if you click on this sample button, links, operator function, getting started, what will happen is it will take you to the kind of a help desk. So help.salesforce.com, where you can ask the Salesforce to guide, or if there is any documentation, if it is already available, they will show the documentation which is available. So this is the documentation which is available. It will take you here to, you can go through what are the custom buttons and link samples are there. So that is the tip here. Now I'm creating the custom new button, click on save. The new custom button will okay. Now, as soon as this is created, do you see here resizable is automatically checked? Resizable is automatically checked. Which Salesforce is handling it? Show scroll bar, I did not add anything, the scroll bar or toolbar or nothing, I did not add anything. By default, Salesforce is giving here show scroll bar. Now, if I edit it after creating the button, if I click on edit, will I be able to uncheck show sidebar and what are the options are there? Will I be able to check? No, you cannot. Right now, the options are still available and the checkbox, whatever you see here, it is by default Salesforce is applying this. Now on top, we can see 4 buttons. Edit is nothing but in case if you wanted to change the Visualforce page name, or if you wanted to change the label name, or if you wanted to change the behavior, right? Or if you wanted to change the content source, you can change it. Now, window open properties. This is window open properties. Whenever the window opens up, what are the length, the height, the width, everything, if you wanted to handle, you can use here. Now, if you do not want the scroll bar, you can remove it. If you do not want a resizable, you can remove it. But as per the Salesforce standard, we always use the Salesforce standard here. Now, in case if you want a toolbar, so these are the toolbars. By default on the Salesforce side, you will see these toolbars, right? So if you want any toolbar or a menu bar, so this side you have a menu bar. Where is it? Yeah, this menu bar. So what are the options are there? If you wanted to see, these are the Chrome options, right? These are Chrome options here. If you want, you can see, or if you wanted to see the status, whatever the status is there, the bottom it will show. Whenever we open the Visualforce page, the bottom it will show how, whether you are able to display the data or not. So that is the done or in progress or failed, those kind of information if you wanted to see. And if you wanted to maintain a width in pixel, you can maintain it. Window position, if you wanted to specify the position, top left, full screen, or if you do not want anything, you can mention no preferences. So these all are window preferences, how you want the window to be, whatever the new window that is gets open, whatever the new window that gets open, how you wanted to design that new window, right? So how you wanted to design that window, everything you can see here. Now let me go back to this. Let's click on cancel. Now third one is delete button. If you wanted to delete, you can use the delete button. Now the fourth one is where this button is used. Are we using this button in the page layout? Are we using this button in the lightning page? Are we using this button in lightning flows? Or is there any different multiple page layout? Am I using it? Everything I can see here. Right now, this button is not used anywhere because we just created it. We just created the button. We cannot see any references. Now, after creating the button, now we just created the new button. After creating the button, another step, we have to do the 2 steps. First step is page layout. Now you need to add this button. Now you need to add this button on the page layout, right? This is a custom button which we have created. So I'll go to the page layout. I'll click on account layout. And in the account layout, we just created the button. The button is custom new button. Now, where should I need to place it? I should not be placing in the quick action because it is not an action. I should not be placing in the Salesforce mobile or lightning experience because that is not I cannot place it here. It will not allow me to place it in the action because this is not an action. it will allow me to place it into the custom button. It will allow me to place it into the custom button. Now click on save. Now once we add this button, I can see in the classic. I can see in the classic, but I cannot see that button in Lightning. If I go to the any record, click on refresh. Now I cannot see the custom button here, custom new button, I cannot see. But if I switch to the classic, switch to classic, when I switch to classic, I can see the button. Let's open the same record. Custom new button, right? If I click on that custom new button, it will open up the new window. Whatever the new window, we said that open in new window, right? Display as, after the display as, there are multiple options. Do you want it to display a window, new window, or override? If I wanted to remove the header, footer, we can remove it, that also. So right now it is displaying here. Now, but Lightning, I cannot see that button. What is the reason why it is not displaying in the Lightning?
We have developed with Visualforce.
Okay.
We have to enable for Lightning. This one.
How do we have to enable?
At window.
But why it is not displaying by default in the Lightning page?
Because this is on the page layout, this button.
But if I add it on the lead level, or let's take any other product that we have not touched it. Okay, so let's take this, right? So these are the records I can see. Now let me create a object manager. Let's take the object product. Let's take this product and the button links action. Let's create a new button. Now, new product. Okay, there is no Visualforce pages. I don't have any Visualforce pages. So for timing, what I'll do is I'll change this to product. Product 2. So the object is product2 product2.id, let's say. Okay, so let's go to the custom button. Let's create the button, new button. Okay, so new product, button, and the Visualforce page, we have started, click on save. Let's click on save. And what I'll do is I'll go to the page layout, only one page layout I have. I'll go to the page layout and buttons. Let's scroll down. Scroll down and let's add the new product. Let's click on save. And what happened now? Let's go to the refresh. Does it display in the default? edit page. Okay, let's click on the header. Highlight panel. Okay, maximum 3 buttons. Okay, it's not displaying it. We need to update the page. So along with the page layout, we have to update the lightning page also. So in the account, if I go to the edit page, in the edit page, we have to add the button instead of, for example, right now here, I have a new log a call. So instead of that, I wanted to display the new account, custom account.
New product.
So right now I'm onto the account, I'm not into the product level. So on the account level, we have added the custom account. So what I did is I'll go to the edit page. Buttons. Okay, so instead of a log a call, I'll just remove the log a call and then I'll try to add custom new button. So done. Click on save, go back, and now it will display. Not saved. Okay, so let's go back to the account. Now we can see that button. So two things needs to be done. One is on the page layout, we have to add it, as well as on the lightning page, we have to add. That is a custom. Yeah.
Can you just show me how to add without replacing the logger call? If I want to add this button as in itself, without replacing the existing button, can we do that?
If you scroll down, there is an option called add more buttons.
Yeah.
So if you scroll down, let's click on this highlights panel and scroll down, add actions. Now I wanted to add a log a call. So I can add it, done. So log a call will be displayed at the bottom. So we can add as many as. So we have an option called add action. So by using that, you can add it.
Yeah, because I tried, but somehow it's not displaying for me. Okay.
Okay, so now if I go back to the accounts, if I click on the drop down at the bottom, I can see the log a call.
Sapna, can we add this button in without adding in page layout directly to the lighting builder?
Without adding the page layout, yes. If you want to display this button in the lightning, go ahead and modify the lightning page. If you want this button to be appearing on the classic and the lightning, then 2 places you wanted to make changes. Now what I do is, right now we have added on the lightning page. So I'll just remove it from the page layout. So if I remove it on the page layout, classic, I won't be able to see. So I'm removing it from the page layout, click on save. So now if I switch to the classic, I will not be seeing the button. Let's go to the industry 1. Now I don't see the button here. Let's move it to the lightning. Lightning I can see, because lightning page is different, page layout is different. When we are touching the page layout, that means only related to buttons. I'm talking about the related to buttons. Okay, so buttons, whatever you are placing here, the buttons will appear only in the classic. But if you want the lightning to be displayed, then you have to make a changes to the lightning page. I'm not talking about the detail section. I'm just talking about the button.
Oh,
Okay, so button, you need to place it in 2 places. If you want classic and lightning both, then you have to modify the page layout as well as the lightning page.
thank you.
If you want just to be displayed on the lightning page, just update the lightning page. Okay, so I'm not talking about the fields, displaying the fields and displaying this related list. I'm not talking that. I'm just talking about the details, buttons. I'm talking about the buttons. When it comes to the detail section, that is a different. If I remove the any field from here, it will be applicable for the lightning and classic. But right now we are talking about the buttons. When we are talking about the buttons, for the button, it is handled separately in the lightning page, in the classic separately. Classic is the page layout, lightning is the lightning page. Perfect. So let's move on. And the next one is link, Visualforce Link. So for the Visualforce Link also, we have to click on a new button or a link. So we have to create a link. So when we create a link, we have to select this time the option called detail page link. This time option called detail page link. So if I add this detail page link, what will happen? How can I add it onto the page? Now let's go ahead and modify it. First of all, I'm going to remove this button and click on edit page. Okay, so I'm going to remove the button. Okay. Okay, so let's take out this, delete it. Perfect, let's click on save. And let's go back. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the button link action. Now I'll take the same button, whatever we have created, custom new button. So I'll click on edit. Okay, last time we created the button. Now I'm going to change this to link. I'm going to change this to link. Now the link, how it is going to display, just click on this view example. So this link will be displayed inside the page. It will be displayed inside the page. It will not be a button. It's a link. When we are creating the custom link, detail page link, this link will be appearing inside the detail section. It will not be displayed as a button. Now click on a save. After creating the link, so what I'll do is I'll go to the page layout and I'll update the account layout. This time I'm going to include the custom link. We have created the custom link called create new button. Create a new button is the link. Let's click on save. Now, right now, when I added the custom link on the detail section, right? On the detail section, I have added. For this, I need not to spend separate layout changes. I need not to do any changes for the separately for the lightning, separate for the classic. So if I go to the detail section, here I can see custom new button link. Whatever the detail section part is there, the page layout works for both classic and lightning. Whereas button is a different. When you are adding a button on the page layout, you might have to add the same button on the lightning page. But whereas detail section, whatever we are adding the custom link here, this link will appear in the lightning as well as if you go to the classic also, you will be able to see the same link in the detail section. So after creating the custom link, only one step that you need to modify the page layout, add the link onto the page layout. Then it will appear those information in the classic as well as the lightning. Okay, any question on the link? Okay. And the next one we have here, page layout. But before going to the page layout, let me go to the buttons, links, and action and click on new button, link. And here one more option which we have is list buttons. View example, these are the list buttons. The list buttons which is going to display on the related list, right? So we don't use this. We don't use this list button anytime. I have not seen this using the list button. But if you wanted to display something, same thing, if you wanted to display the Visualforce page as a list button, you can try this. So homework is a create a list button on the contact object. Okay, and see, observe this, how it is displaying the list button. When you check this, what will happen? When you uncheck this, what will happen? Just cross verify. Create it on the contact page, contact object. On the contact object, create a list button. That is a homework. Okay, so let's move on the page layout. So page layout, I can directly add a Visualforce page. I can directly add a Visualforce page. So we have at the bottom of this page layout, there is an option called Visualforce page. So by choosing the page layout, by choosing the Visualforce page, I can directly add it. So let's go to the page layout, account layout. Now, if you scroll down here, we have a Visualforce pages. Now here also, it doesn't show all the Visualforce pages. It shows only related to the standard controller equal to account. Only those records will show here. Now, if I say Apex detail component, if I drag it onto the, I'm just dragging onto the page. I have just dragged onto the page. Let's click on save. Now let's go back to the Salesforce account details. Let's refresh. Details. Did I save? Click on save. Okay, refresh. So let's go to the detail section. Right, so this is the page that we have created right now, and there is another page which we have created. We have added two Visualforce pages there. One is creating a new account Visualforce page. Another one is a detail section. We have added the create a new and a details component. We have added the two Visualforce pages. If I switch to the classic also, I can see this. I made changes at only one place on the page layout, which will reflect onto the Lightning as well as classic both. Okay, so here also it is displaying two information. This is today whatever we have created, and this is the detail section, whatever we have the detail section. Right, so let's remove, in case if you wanted to do any kind of a setting on this, you have a setting, specific settings, width, if you want 100% width, height, and show scroll bar, show label, if you want the label to be displayed. Similarly for this also, scroll bar, label, click on OK and save. Refresh.
Swapna, can we say it kind of iframe type?
Yeah, kind of a iframe, yes. Right, so everything you can see here. So you can set it up, whatever the layout or how the window should be displayed, everything you can decide it on the page level. So this is how we will be adding the page level Visualforce. If you wanted to remove it, just click on the remove button. It will be as usual, normal standard page layout. Now, next one is an action. You can also create an action. You can use the Visualforce page in the action. So this time click on a new action. When you click on a new action, you will see there is an option called custom Visualforce. So you can use whatever the Visualforce page is there, you can use it. You can use the height and the label type and the label, name, and the description, you can use it. So let's go ahead and create one. So button, link, action. Now I'm going to delete this button, delete. Okay, it is used in the page layout. Switch lightning. Okay, do I still see this? Yes. Let me open this. And where is this used? This is used in account layout. So let me open the account layout. On the account layout, we have used it as a link. So here is the one, just remove it, click on it, save. Now let's refresh. The reference should go away right now. Okay, so right now we do not have any references. So I can delete that button. So what are the custom buttons are there? It will be displayed in this color. What are the standard buttons are there? Those are displayed in the black color. So let's click on a delete. Now I'm going to create a new action. Click on new action. Now we are going to use the custom Visualforce page and create a new account. And then I'll say here, new account. And label type, this is basically creating the record. Add record. So click on save. Now this action is created. And what I'll do is I'll go to the page layout. In the page layout, we have an option called action. Now we have a quick action as well as mobile lightning action. Now both the places you can see whatever we have created. So we have created the new account. I can see it in the quick action. If I go on to the mobile also, in the mobile also I can see new account. But where can I add the quick action? So quick actions are, if I drag it, new account, quick action is displayed on the classic. Now, okay, so displayed on the classic, mobile and lightning displayed on the lightning, new account. Okay, let's click on save. Now let's go back to the Salesforce. Lightning, first let's check the classic.
Ma'am, we need to add both in classic and lightning.
Yes, if you need a classic, just add it into the quick action. Do not use the lightning mobile. If you want,
Okay.
if you want only lightning, it should display, then just drag it and place it onto the mobile. If you use the quick action, that means it will appear only classic.
Okay, ma'am.
Let's edit the page. Okay. Now, instead of a quick contact, I'll just use the, you can place new account. So this is a, did we create a new account or is it a different name? Or did we create the action?
A new account, ma'am.
New account, okay. So let's done. So if I save it, I can see that quick action here. Right, it will appear here. I'm not going to save that. That is a action, how we are going to use it. And next one is the object manager. How
Swapna,
to, yeah.
I have a doubt. I get confused between the button and quick action. What is the difference between these two? They both achieve the same thing, right?
They both achieve the same thing, but actions are definitely, they both are, you cannot see any differences here. On the UI level, you cannot see buttons in a different color, quick action in a different color, you cannot see here. There, you cannot even identify whether this is a button or whether it is a quick action. No. So buttons are initially when the Salesforce started with the classic, that time we have a buttons and lightning. When they introduced the lightning experience, when they introduced the lightning aura, lightning LWC, that time they came up with the action, because by using the button, I cannot add a lightning aura component or LWC component. I have to use the action. So that's the reason they came up with a new one more thing, which is called as a action. But before, when we were using the Visualforce, they started with a button and a link. That time we were not having an action.
Okay.
And the next one is a Visualforce. How to use a Visualforce, how to create an object manager for a visual. Basically, when I'm creating the object manager, how to use a Visualforce. Now, first of all, here, what is a object manager? What is the object manager?
Shows all the objects.
To view the
Library of objects.
custom and standard
It's
objects.
having the fields, buttons, all the details.
Right. So object manager is a section where it will allow you to manage setting related standard custom object, and you can see all of the listed object in the object manager. And we can also create a buttons, like whenever we create a object with the Visualforce, okay, the buttons are automatically created by the Salesforce. Whenever we create a Visualforce, what is this means? Buttons are automatically created. Now, first of all, when we create a object manager, okay, when you click on a new object manager, there is an option here which will say that do you wanted to use the standard Salesforce object manager, or do you wanted to create a object manager using a Visualforce page, So I can use any Visualforce page here, and I can create an object for the Visualforce page. So what is that means here? Let's go here. On the object manager, we have two ways we can create an object manager. First one is a custom object from spreadsheet. You can load the spreadsheet. For example, the scenario when we use the spreadsheet is, it's completely new org, and client gave us to create 10 objects. Okay, so what I'll do is, instead of creating a custom object and entering all the data, I'll prepare a spreadsheet. I'll prepare Excel sheet. So in the Excel sheet, what are the mandatory informations are needed? I'll prepare entire thing. Then I can load that Excel sheet by clicking on this custom object from spreadsheet. So when I click on that, it will ask us to load the spreadsheet. From that, we can create multiple objects. We can create a multiple objects. Now here I'm creating the new custom object. Now, whenever we create a new custom object, definitely it will ask what is the custom object name. If I say that VF object, I'll say VF objects. Now, here, the context sensitive help setting. Open the standard setting, standardsalesforce.com, help and training window, or else do you want to use any Visualforce page? If I say that, yes, I wanted to use the Visualforce page. Now let's suppose I'll take a VF iframe. Now here, as soon as while creating the object, there is a one field which gets created. right? Similar like when I created the account object, account name is automatically created, right? Now here enter the record name label format. That means whenever after creating this object, I need a by default one field should be created. Whenever I'm creating the object, one field should be created. If I say here, VF name, I'll just say that VF name. And then we will discuss this when we are discussing the object manager. For now, I'm just focusing on label. What is the object I'm creating the label? And then here I'm selecting the Visualforce page instead of a Salesforce standard. I'm using the Visualforce page. By using the Visualforce page, I'm creating the new custom object. And the record name is basically whenever a object is created, by default, Salesforce is suggesting us, provide us some name. And this is a mandatory every time. Like for example, record name for account is account name. And when you go to the case number. So whenever you create any object, whether you create a custom object, a Visualforce object, or in any of these objects. So what will happen is by default, it will ask you to enter one name here. And this name, do you want a text field or do you want a auto number? Text field means we have to enter the text. Auto number means automatically it will capture the number. When I say auto number, it will ask from which number do you want it to start automatically, right? So right now I'm going to just take the text and then I'll say that tab, launch new custom tab, because when I'm creating the object, I want the object to be displayed here. Okay, maybe in the more option, it should be displayed. Now I'll click on save. I just created the object using the Visualforce page, and the one field which is added is VF name. And the second screen is which comes is to choose the tab style, because we have enabled the tab, right? So I'm just choosing this tab style and click on next. And the next screen, it is going to ask, do you want to default on? Yesterday we have discussed in the admin. Do you want the tab to be default on, default off, tab hidden, right? So these are the options which will show whenever we are creating the object also. So it is a default on, click on next and include everything. Now click on save. Now let's refresh this. Now we have just taken the dummy Visualforce page, which is called VF iframe, right? I just took the VF iframe. So this is the object. It created the object called VF object. There is no data right now. There is no data. And do you see here the buttons, whatever these buttons are there, these buttons are automatically created by Salesforce. I have not given anywhere that it should display new, import, change owner, printable view. I did not give anywhere. By default, Salesforce is showing these buttons. And if I create a new button, if I click on a new, what will happen? It will show only one field which is called as a VF name. Because on the object level, we just have only one field called VF name. While creating the object, system will ask what is the mandatory field that you wanted to take it, and we have given it as a VF name, and the data type is this text we have given. So I'll just give a new record and click on save. As soon as I save record, on the record level also there are a default button which will show here. These buttons are, we did not mention anywhere that I wanted to show new contact, new opportunity, new lead, new case. I did not see anywhere. These buttons are automatically created by Salesforce. Automatically created by Salesforce. That is the term which I have written here. Buttons are automatically created on Visualforce object, right? So we did not give anything here. It should display new contact, new opportunity. We did not say anything. It will be automatically created based on the whatever the data that we are giving in while creating the object. Now we have given the Visualforce page. So for the Visualforce page, it is showing all the informations here. Now, why do we need a Visualforce object? In what scenario do we need it? There will be hardly any requirement for us to create an object for Visualforce page. Okay, so I had seen only one time, that is a long back, where we have created the Visualforce object. Now, in the Visualforce object, when we created it, we wanted to capture certain information from that record. Okay, because from the API, from the third-party system, we are receiving the data. We are receiving the data, and that data I wanted to pass it to the Visualforce pages, and those pages has to be linked to the object level. So that is only one scenario. We are not going to see these kind of scenarios anywhere. So there won't be any requirement to create an object manager for the Visualforce. We will not be seeing that. Okay, any questions before I move on? Okay, so let's move on. Apex, we are going to start from today, Apex. So Apex is a programming language. Similar like any other language, Apex is also a programming language. But what type of a programming language? Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language. Apex is strongly typed object-oriented programming language. And Apex is a case-insensitive programming language. Case-insensitive. That means similar like any other object-oriented programming languages, Apex is also, we can use all kind of inheritance, classes, interfaces, everything we can use it in the Apex. And Apex is case insensitive. And Apex enables the developer to add business logic. By using the Apex, developers implements the lightning flows, implements the functionality, adds the business logic in order to make the functionality to work, right? We add any logic, any business logic that if I wanted to deal in the Salesforce, that means we use only one programming language, which is called as a Apex. Apex is the one where we are going to write all our business logic. And Apex supports classes, interfaces, inheritance, because Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language. So like others, Apex is also have the classes, inheritance, everything we have. Apex validates the references to the object and compile time. Basically, whenever we are validating in the Apex, it will directly check object, it will directly connect to the object, and it will check the compile time also, the references of compile time. So this is basic. If you wanted to understand, Apex is basically a language, programming language, and which we are using it for implementing the business logic. Now, what are the features of Apex? Why it is different from other languages? What is this? What is the additional features that Apex has? So the features are, first one is a hosted. First feature is a hosted. Hosted is nothing but Apex is interpreted, executed, and controlled entirely by Force.com platform. Now here, what is interpreted? Now we understand executed, controlled entirely by platform called, we have a Force.com platform. Interpreted is nothing but converting whatever you are typing the code, whatever you are writing the code, right? Integer A equal to 5, integer B equal to 10, whatever you are writing the code in the Apex, it has to convert the whatever you have written, it has to convert into the machine language, which is called interpreted. So whenever this is not only for the Apex, every programming language has their own way to convert into the machine language. So similarly, Apex is also converts the whatever we are writing it converts into the machine language, and it passes the data to the Salesforce, and it executes it, and they will be controlling it entirely by Force.com platform. And the second feature is upgrades automatically. I need not to pay any amount for the upgrade. I need not to pay any amount for the upgrade. It will be upgraded automatically because we have a releases in the Salesforce. We have releases in the Salesforce. What are the releases we have in the Salesforce?
Spring, winter, summer.
Spring, winter, summer.
Spring, winter, summer. So as part of those releases, if there are any changes that are applicable for the Apex, Apex is automatically upgraded. We do not need to spend a time on the upgrading manually. Let's take an example of Windows 10. Right now we have a Windows 10. Now tomorrow, probably after 5 years or some certain time, we receive Windows 12, latest version. If I have to upgrade it, will there be automatic upgrade for the Windows? Do we have an automatic upgrade for the Windows?
No.
We don't
No.
have any automatic upgrades for the Windows. Either I have to take by paying some amount, take the license, and then I need to format it in my laptop and
Upgrade it manually.
Yeah, we have to do it manually. So those hours, I need not to spend anything onto the Apex. It will be automatically taken care by the Salesforce. They will be upgrading it. So that means I never need to rewrite any logic. Whatever I have written the logic 10 years back in the Apex, I need not to rewrite anything. It will be stable. After 10 years also, the logic will be working. In case if there are any updates, Salesforce does those updates automatically. We need not to spend again the time on that implementation. So there won't be no rewriting any kind of a logic. And next one is a rigors. Rigors is nothing but Apex is whenever we are writing a logic in the Apex, it has a direct references to the schema object. When I say schema object is nothing but all the objects that we are able to see in the object manager, it has it has a direct references. There is no in between, there is no interaction. Apex directly talk to the object and their fields and how their structure is there. It has a direct references to the schema object and the fields also. And in case if it fails anything, okay, I'm writing the logic and I'll click on a save button. When I click on a save button, immediately it will throw an error. For example, I'm writing a logic for the account. Now I write account.email. Email field is not available on the account, but I'm writing account.email. When I write the account.email, as soon as I click on a save, immediately it will give me problem in the problem window. That means compilation is so quick. Why? Because Apex has a direct connection to the schema object. It has a direct connection to the schema object. It will quickly verify is this field exist in this object. If it is not, then immediately I'll receive an error. There is no delay on seeing the error. So compilation time is so quick. And the next one is versioned. Apex is a version controlled. Apex is version controlled. So whatever you are implementing, whether the custom Apex code or a Visualforce, anything that you are implementing it, or you are writing the classes, triggers, everything is depending on the version. Now, after 5 years, if you wanted to know this Apex class, which version it is implemented, you can easily you can know that by going to the Apex class, any Apex class. So you can see API version here. Similarly, for the Apex class also, you can see the API version for which version the Apex class is implemented. So it is a version dependent. Custom Apex code can be saved against the different versions of the API. You can save your Apex class. Right now the version is 56, but if you wanted to write a logic related to 52, okay, you can do that. But mostly we use the 56 only. Okay, it's a we can write the logic and we can save it against the different versions of the API. And the next feature is integrated with the database. Integrated with the database. That means it is a straightforward access to the DML, data manipulation. Right? So whether you do insert, create, update, CRUD operation, whatever you do the CRUD operation, it's just a straightforward. You need not to manipulate so much of the data, nothing, you need not to do anything. It's a straightforward to access the data and it can be manipulate the data records automatically. Now, Apex provides the direct access to the records and the fields and the object. And it provides the statement, query languages, and you can manipulate those records, right? So that's the reason whenever we are querying the data or whenever we are making the changes or if I'm doing any DML operation, it doesn't take time on the Apex side. It will not take time on the Apex side, which is integrated with the database. And the next one is the data focused. It is a very much important, that is a data focused. Data is very sensitive and very important in the Salesforce. So Apex provides transactional access to the database. It will allow you to, that means transactional access is nothing but you can, when you are committing the data, or if you wanted to roll back, you can do that. Or during the commit, if you wanted to perform any action, you can do that. So you have all the access to the connecting to the database during your execution of the DML or execution of the CRUD operations, execution of the rollback. If you wanted to do anything related to the data that sits into the database, so that directly talk to the database and make a changes, and immediately the data, whatever is there in the database, it directly focus on that particular data and it updates the whatever the action needs to be done. And
ma'am, can you tell me the example for the data focused?
So data focus, for example, we will see in the next session, next slide, we have that.
Okay.
Easy to use. So Apex is very easy to use. It's like a Java syntax. There is no hard syntax are there. So it's a basic syntax, right? Whatever the Java like syntax, which is quite easy to understand the code. Right, simple syntax, loop syntax, block and conditional statement, if else condition syntax, object, and there are array things are there, some collections, map, those are there. And similar like a Java syntaxes, few syntaxes are similar like a Java, not exactly same, I cannot say exactly same, only few syntaxes are same. And what are the other syntaxes also there in the Apex? It's a very easy syntaxes and we can learn it very easily. So Apex is the one which is anybody can learn. That's the reason it says that anybody can learn the Apex because it has the very less coding. One of the good thing is that Apex has very less coding because a lot of things are what are the difficult part is that which Salesforce is doing it and they are giving us some keyword. So I just need to use that keyword instead of writing 100 lines or 10 lines of code. And by using that, I can do what are the actions I wanted. So very less coding we can write it. And whatever we are writing the logic, it's all depending on conditional statement and try catch kind of whatever we see in the Java, try catch, conditional, loop, or declaration, right? Expressions. exactly similar to that, but there are few things which we have that is also easy to learn the Apex and easy to test. Whatever we are implemented, whatever we build, the logic, it is easy to test it. Because whenever we write a Apex class, we have to write a test classes for the each Apex class. There is a hard rule given by the Salesforce. Whenever we are implementing the Apex classes, it has to have, we have to implement test class, which is called, if I'm, for example, if I'm implementing the Apex class. Okay, so I'm implementing the Apex called create account. This is my Apex class. Right, this is my Apex class, and if I'm implementing this, then I need to write a test class for the whatever the class that we have written. So it has to be always, if I'm implementing any class, there has to be always a test class. It has to be there, create account underscore test. You can write. Why we are giving the same name? Because tomorrow if I wanted to try to identify what is the test class for this particular class. So what we usually format is, we use the Apex class name underscore test. So this way we will write the test classes. So that is called code coverage. So whenever we are discussing the code coverage, that time we will discuss. So every class, whatever we are writing, it has to have a code coverage. There is a certain code coverage limit is there, more than 75%. And what are the test creation, execution? It's a very easy to test it basically. It's not having the very hard. Okay, and then Salesforce ensures that all the custom Apex code works as expected by executing all unit tests prior to the platform upgrade. That means before I upgrade to the anything, before I update, or before I moving the changes to the production, when I run a test class, what happens if there is a button called run test? So if I click on that button run test, what will happen at the back end? It runs the logic. While executing the logic, Salesforce also involves during that time. Salesforce look at all our test classes, whatever we are writing it, based on that it will execute and it will tell us how much code coverage is done based on the lines of code that we have written in the test class and the lines of code that we have written in the class. Everything it will check and it will give finally how much the code coverage is happening. So these are the features of Apex. Yes.
Yeah, like Apex, do we have to write test cases for LWC, Aura as well, or only Apex?
Only Apex. Whatever the business logic that we are writing it, what are the business logic that we are writing it, for that we need the test class. We write a business logic in the Apex class, we write a business logic in the Apex test class, we write a business logic in the batch class, we write a business logic in the asynchronous, right? Wherever I write the logic in the Apex, we have to implement a test class. Okay, any questions?
Ma'am, what is rollback operation?
Rollback is, for example, I have a data. Let me explain here. File, new. Okay, so for example, I have a database here. I have a database. Inside this database, let's assume that I have a table called, I'll take a contact table. There is a contact table here. In this contact table, I have a data, certain data is there. This question is for the focused data also, I'm explaining it. So here I have a contact name, contact phone number, contact date of birth, right? So I have all the information here. This is name, and this is the phone number and email, and there is a description. Now the data sits inside this. I have a data here, I have a data here, here, right? I have a data everywhere. I have a data in this, all this information, I have the data. Now, what does data focused means? What does data focus and what is the rollback? For example, I'm writing a Apex class. I'm writing a Apex class. Now in this Apex class, now I'm going to update a record. Let's assume that I'm going to perform an update. I'm going to perform update. I'm going to perform delete. I'm going to perform rollback. Okay, so right now my focus is on the update. No, there are 4 fields are there. There are 4 fields, but what I am updating it, I'm just updating the phone number. I'm just updating the phone number. So when I'm executing this logic, what will happen is at the back end, it will go and try to find out based on the 18-digit ID. As soon as it finds the based on the 18-digit ID, it will just see what is the field that is getting updated. It will not go to the name, it will not go to the email, it will not go to the description. It will just go to the phone field, because that is where the focus is here. While updating it, I'm just focusing on the phone field. I'm not focusing on name, I'm not focusing on email, I'm not focusing on description. Right? So here just update is happening only on the phone. So that means as soon as the record is here, I'll be having a 18-digit ID while it is providing the information. So as soon as I have a 18-digit ID, out of these 3 records, I'll try to find out which record is the right one. So as soon as I find the one record, assume that the first record is matching with this 18 record. Do I need to necessary that I need to go to the name and check whether it is updating or not? Do I need to go to the email? Okay, this is the email field. Now, is it updating or not? Do I need to check description? This is the existing description. And is there any new description? No, we need not to go to each and every field. What Salesforce does is whatever the field that you are updating it, I'm just focusing on that particular field. I'll not touch any other fields. So that is the data focus. Whatever the fields that we are updating it, it will focus on only that particular data of that field. Is that clear? Somebody asked about the data focus. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the next one is
Swapna, I have a question. Now when we edit, okay, in the edit page, we suppose I want to edit a phone number, okay. So when I want to edit a phone number, a query is run, right, to update query. Because this was a question somewhere I read this question. So the save happens on the record or the save happens on the field?
yes. What's your question?
No, now suppose I want to update phone, okay, and at the back SQL query runs, right? Update query. So as per my knowledge, the record is getting updated, right? But in the Apex, this one is, do we say a record is updated or a field is updated?
Where is the field? Where is the field data? Is it on the record level or is it on the just a field level? What are we passing here? What is this 18-digit ID?
It's a record.
Record. So I'm first finding the record.
Yeah.
Right? And where is the field that sits? Now I have a data here. Is this on the record level it is going, or it is just going into the just specific field here?
Specific field.
First it is going to the record level, right? I have a field data is multiple is there. But how it is
Yes.
trying to go here? Record level it is going.
Yeah. Right. So it's record level, right?
Yes.
So just
That's the
wanted to
reason I have
confirm.
mentioned here. First, it will
Yeah.
give us the 18-digit ID. So 18-digit ID is nothing but it will try to find out which record that I need to update. On the record level, again it will check which field is it updated. So it will go to that particular field on the record.
Yeah.
It is not directly going to the here. No, it is taking along with that, it is taking the record ID and it will tell the table, okay, this is my record ID. You have 100 records. First tell me which record is matching here. So it will try to find out the record. First filter is done. Now the second filter is, okay, this is the first filter. Now the second filter is, now I have 20 fields are there. Among the 20 fields, which field is it updating? That is the second filter. It is not directly going to the specific field. No, it is going the step by step.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, now the next one is after the update, I'm doing the delete. It's similar like how we do the delete on the Salesforce. When I'm deleting it, it is also passing the 18-digit ID here. When it passes the 18-digit ID, first it will try to identify which one is matching here. So it will check the second one is matching this ID. Now, for example, I did a delete. This is deleted. This record is deleted. Now, when this record is deleted, okay. Now, during the deletion, what happened is it is still trying to delete it. It is not yet deleted. Okay. During the deletion, there is some issue happened in between because of some other logic. There is some issue, some disturbances happened. Now what I'll write here, the logic, try deleting it. If you see any error, if it is not deleting it, then what you do is roll back. Whatever the data you have deleted for the other fields and what are the other data you have deleted it, just roll back because there is an error during the deletion. Rollback is nothing but I wanted to change back to the whatever the data it was there. Similar like in the recycle bin, right? I have deleted certain data here. Now account, I'll go to the account and I have deleted it. Now after deleting this, let me check, I am deleting this record. Now there is no error, everything perfectly fine. Now after deleting this record, I wanted to roll back because by mistakenly I have deleted it. Here the scenario is by mistakenly I have deleted it. Now I wanted to roll back. That means I wanted to bring that data back to the, account level. So what I'll do from the recycle bin, it's not completely deleted. It's not deleted completely. It's still there in my org. So what I can do is I can restore back to the account. The same logic during the implementation of the Apex. If I'm deleting 10 records, assume that I'm deleting the 10 records at a time. When I'm deleting the 10 records at a time, after reaching the 5th line, I see there is some issue happened. Now this is a bunch of delete. It is deleting all at a time. I'm not deleting one by one. It is deleting everything at a time. So whenever it sees that in between deletion of these 10 records, if it see any error, now if you see any error, do not delete any record, just roll back everything, whatever I have deleted so far. That means restore the records back. Restore the, what are the restored, what are the deleted, the first 5 records, restore back. Is that clear? Roll back.
Yeah. I got it.
Swapna, this rollback is for all the DL statements, right?
Yes, for the
insert, update.
Why we use it for the update? Update, we do not use it. This is when I'm deleting the record from the org, if I wanted to roll back. Similar like a Java, how we have rollback. So rollback applies to the one, if I'm deleting it, anything in between, if I see any error, that means I'm taking out some records from the Salesforce org. Completely, I'm destroying it. While destroying the records, if I see any error, don't destroy anything. Just move back to the original. Okay, so let's move on. How does Apex work? Now, first of all, Apex runs entirely on the on-demand Lightning platform. Whatever the logic we are writing it runs on entirely on the on-demand Lightning platform. That means everything sits into the cloud, right? Everything sits into the cloud. What are the data? What are the code that we are writing it? Whether I'm writing the Apex class, trigger, batch class, whatever I'm writing it, the logic, everything is saved into the cloud. Now, how these things are happening, how the compilation is happening, how am I getting the compilation error? And this is for the developer. Now, when the end user, as an end user, when they click on this button, okay, as an end user, when they click on the new button, or if I click on any custom button here, if I go to the industry one record, if I have any custom button, now when I click on this custom button, what is happening exactly at the behind this story? Now, this is as an end user, I'm clicking on this button, right? When I click on this button, definitely assume that behind this button, there is a Apex logic has written, some business logic has written. Now, how this execution is happening on the back end. Now, there are two types are there. One is a developer who is developer or a BA or the admin, everybody who try to play the Salesforce or, and the another members are end users who are trying to click on end users or the clients, right? Clients try to test this, right? They are performing some action here, they are clicking on it. So how the logic is getting executed, how the Apex works at the back end. Now, when we look at developer perspective, now for example, I have written the logic here. I have written some logic, assume that I have written an Apex class logic to calculate some addition, multiplication, subtraction, anything. So I have written some logic here, and as soon as logic is done, I have written the logic and it is completed, and I clicked on a save button. When I clicked on a save button, the first thing what happens, it is right now, as soon as I click on a save button, the first thing is that it is still unsaved. This all happens fraction of seconds, okay? It doesn't take any time. So as soon as I click on a save button, first uncompiled Apex class or trigger, whatever is there. So whenever the developer writes the code and saves into the platform application, we are saving into the force.com platform application. So what happens immediately, the uncompiled Apex class or a trigger that goes to the server through the internet. Through the internet, it goes to the server. And the server first compiles it. There is a compiler which sits into the server. The first thing is that compiler does the job. First, it will compile the code, whatever the developer has written. Whatever the developer has written, the compiler first runs the compilation. It checks whether the code is written perfectly fine or not based on the set of instructions. So, right, the set of instructions are provided by the Salesforce. So what are the set of instructions are there that can be understood by the Apex runtime compiler, right? So it will run the logic. If everything is perfectly fine, there is no issue, then what will happen is Apex compiler push the data, the compiled Apex to the database. We have a database called database.com, the Salesforce database. It will push the Apex classes inside the database if it is compiled perfectly fine. Now, in case if there is any error, so what it will do, it will send back to the developer. In the problem statement, I'll see what is the compilation error, right? I'll see the error like in the, whether it is the Apex class or the, right? Whatever I'm writing it, everything it will check. So while compiling it, it will also check the references of the object, fields, whether the field is available in this object or not. And also it checks certain limits, and also it will check whether the logic is written perfectly fine. Is there any syntax issues? Everything, certain code instructions will be given to the compiler. So whenever developer submits any logic, that means uncompiled Apex class or trigger, if you hear anything, check all the set of instructions and see whether it is matching this, meeting the criteria or not. If it is meeting the criteria, that means it is compiled perfectly fine. Then we are storing the Apex class in the database, in the storing the Apex class in database. In Salesforce, we have a database called database.com. This is by looking at developer perspective. This is how it will happen. This everything happens in the fraction of second, because I'll not, there is no wait for the error. Errors I will see immediately, right? So this entire logic runs in the backend with very fast. Now, when I look at the perspective of the end user, now end user does not do anything on the Apex side. He's not doing anything in the Apex side. But what the end user does, end user opens the Salesforce. When the end user trigger to execute, or when they trigger, that means when they click on button, or when they open the custom application where it has a Apex code, a logic is written at the backend, right? They are not doing anything on the Apex code, but indirectly they are touching the Apex code, because the business logic sits into the Apex. They are indirectly touching the Apex code by clicking on the button on the Salesforce. So what it does, it will send the request to the through the Apex server. It sends the request to the data storage, whatever the Apex class is there. Because as soon as they click on the button, right, first it will show the user interface. The user interface is implemented through the Visualforce page or a Lightning Aura or a LWC, but backend logic will be on the Apex level, right? So it will immediately check the Apex level, which is there, which sits into the database. It will check whether this class exists in the database or not, whether it is compiled perfectly or not. So it will check everything, and then based on what are the logic it runs into the database, we will see the response back to the result back to the end user. So when the end user trigger to execute the Apex code, the platform application server retrieve those compiled instructions. Whatever the compiled information is there, the compiled instruction will be received, which are saved in the metadata. Because as soon as the compiled is done, we are saving the data. We are saving the Apex in the metadata. We are saving all the Apex classes in the metadata. So whenever the user requests, it will try to talk to the metadata and try to find out which Apex class is actually linking to this user interface. So metadata will provide that compiled Apex, and through those compiled instructions, which are saved as a metadata and sent it to runtime interpreter. It will send it to runtime interpreter, and then it will send the result to the client. So that means working on Apex for both developers and end users. Basically, it's easy, right? We are not wasting any time here. Whatever we are doing, we are completely involved in our work. But back in, there is a lot of things are happening it, but we don't know what are things are happening it, which is making our life smooth. Salesforce is making our life smooth for end users, for the developers. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, Swapna, do we have a direct interface to the database where we can run queries?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, do we have a direct interface to the database? like a client where I can see all the objects and like we usually have MySQL and Oracle. We have a database client, right? Do we have
You're
such
talking about
client?
querying the data?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we have. We will see that there are ways to query the data.
Okay, I mean I can see all the tables in the database
Yes.
and it's okay.
Okay, any other questions before I move on? So advantages of Apex. So the advantages is we need not to buy any infrastructure. By default with the Salesforce, we will get this everything Apex, developer console, everything, and cost effective. Okay, we need not to spend anything there, license cost or any various software, nothing, we need not to do anything. Security of application, full authentication authorization is provided to the end user by the Salesforce. End user is nothing but developers, admin, whoever is using the Salesforce, they will have an entire application based on the licenses, right? And it is easy to develop an application in the Salesforce.com platform for developers, because developers can use the existing application. Salesforce by default giving some application, standard application, they are giving it, right? So by using the existing application, I can make a changes on top of the existing application and we can deliver the business requirement. So we need not to implement certain scenarios from the scratch. We can use the existing application and we can extend those features. And the next one is provides on-demand and multi-tenant platform. Multi-tenant platform we will see later, but right now just understand the provides on-demand and multi-tenant platform. And next one is disadvantages. Now we have seen what are the advantages for the Apex, but do we have a disadvantages for Apex? Not many, not so much, but there are few which we need to be very conscious. A developer cannot change the standard functionality. We cannot change the standard functionality. Whatever the Salesforce is giving, we cannot change those functionality. We cannot delete it. We cannot modify it. It's not possible. It can only prevent the functionality from including the code or adding some new functionality or extending the functionality either, right? So I cannot make any changes to the existing functionality by using the business logic. And the second one is whenever we are implementing, whenever we are writing a business logic, we should be very cautious about writing the logic to handle multiple records. Because what will happen when you are writing the logic, when you are writing the business logic in the sandbox, you might see the responses very less records, but in the production, what will happen? It returns the large collection of records because production has a lot of data. Real-time data is so huge. So whenever we are writing any business logic, we have to be very careful whether my logic is able to handle multiple records or not. We need to cross-verify that. So these are the two. Basically, it's not a disadvantage. I can say that it's more cautious, whatever we are doing on it. Okay, any questions?
Swapna?
Yeah.
Yeah. The classes which we write in Salesforce, okay, are they saved in the database or in the file structure?
So as per the design, whatever I have explained, it saves into the database, data storage.
Okay. And how about the metadata? I mean, can I see the metadata for it?
Yes.
Or it generates by itself? When I write a class, it generates a metadata by itself.
It generates it by automatically by the system.
Okay.
Okay, so conclusion. What did we learn so far?
Button.
Sorry.
Buttons, Visualforce Link, page layout,
Apex
action.
button.
Visualforce
Link.
Button, link,
Visualforce
page
used in
layout,
button, link,
object
page
manager,
layout.
View
And
object
Apex,
manager.
advantages of Apex, disadvantages, features.
and how does Apex works. So total, these are the topics that we have seen today. Now questions, how to create a Visualforce page link?
Yeah, go to object manager,
Object manager, buttons,
bunch
action,
action links,
the actions, link.
and then for new button or link.
Okay. By clicking on new button or link button, we can create a link page. What is Apex?
It's a programming language
Is a
Business
programming
logic.
language.
which is used to write the business logic.
It's a strongly typed object-oriented language, and it's a case-sensitive
Case instance.
programming
Insensitive.
language.
Incentive.
So do not say just Apex is a programming language. Say that Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented and case-insensitive programming language. Top 3 features of Apex.
Upgrade automatically.
Hosted. Upgradation, rigorous.
Rigorous.
Hosted,
Integrated
upgrades
trust.
automatically. Yes, rigorous.
Data focus,
Data focus, yes.
Easy to use.
integrated with database,
Personal.
Easy to use, data integrated with database, yes.
Easy to test.
Easy to test. 3 advantages of Apex.
No need to
No need to
provide
buy
the
infrastructure.
infrastructure. Cost effective.
Security.
Security.
Authentication, security,
Cost effective.
Cost.
cost effective. Developers can easily write an applications,
Yes.
build applications.
And this is the homework. Write a program using the Visualforce page to create a new contact and replace the standard new button to custom Visualforce page. And if you click on that new button on the contact, then it should display or it should open the custom Visualforce page. And on the custom Visualforce page, display the contact last name, title, department, birth date, phone, email, mobile. And there should be a save button. Save button to save the new record. Now, second one, write a program using the Visualforce page to display the following details on the account record. That means on the details section, display the Salesforce image. And also display the logged in user email. On detail section, place the Visualforce page. The Visualforce page should contain the Salesforce image. You can take a Salesforce logo image and then logged in user email. Third one, write a program using the Visualforce page to display a link on the lead record page. So on the lead detail section, when you click on the link, it should take you to the link which is called Trailhead. So I'm pasting that here. It should take you to the lead generation for marketer manage leads page in the Trailhead. On clicking on this link, it should redirect to the new tab. It should not open the same tab. It should open the new tab. And the next one is a Trailhead. This is the Apex database. How to create a Apex, how to secure, how to retrieve the data, everything will be there. So complete the Trailhead. Okay, that's all for today's session. Any questions?